So as that survey is continuing to populate, I'd like to spend a moment talking about where we overlap in the ideas and practices of traditional change management and Agile practice. And I say this from the position of an Agilist, right? Certified Agile leader, lots of Agile experience and credentials, but I've also been a change leader. So I'm not opposed to either one of these. In traditional change management, here's where I see good overlap. They acknowledge that change happens at the individual level and that everybody's different. And that's really crucial because that aligns with Agile holding individuals as primary importance. They have processes and methods that focus on the individual, which is a positive. And in the change management functions, there's a growing emphasis on coaching. Used to just be Agile coaches, right? People were like, what are these Agile coaches all about? And now there's lots of corporate training for leaders on how to adopt a coaching attitude. Change managers, how to use coaching in their change management practice. Those are predicated on healthy Agile practices, and so that's really good overlap. They have a strong emphasis on communication, and we know communication is crucial, right? So that's good. Change management sphere is rapidly evolving its understanding of the psychology of human change. With some slides about that later. And they have really good repositories of research based on their practical experience. So if you went over to their websites and read through them, you'd find a lot of stuff that you thought was great, helpful, good. But there are also areas of divergence, and they're pretty fundamental ones. They see change differently than Agilists do, right? There's not that idea of welcoming it. There's a little bit of the idea that it's something that is naturally resistant and that has to be managed. Traditional change management planning was rooted in waterfall and traditional planning, very heavy upfront, big bag planning. It's very strongly tool and process based. And I've had situations where like you just ask them to skip one of their steps and it's like as if a volcano erupted. Other times no, but the nature of what they do has evolved in a process-oriented way. Most change management methodologies have realized that they had to adapt to Agile presence. But a lot of these adaptations are awkward. They're a little forced. They tend to focus just on iteration or, for example, making their change documents living documents. Whereas like from the Agile point of view, we might say, maybe we don't need all those documents, right? Their point of view is, well, we'll make them living documents. So there's adaptation, there's progress, but they're a little bit forced and awkward. Traditional change management tends to be much more top-down in its planning and impetus. Now, we know that we need leaders on board in Agile, obviously, but we have much more of a grassroots tradition. So many of our images and our metaphors show knowledge and information going up and down. And this is something that's kind of still new in the change management space. Their approaches on how people should participate in the change are still rooted in delegation. So for instance, in Agile, where we might say, have a giant open space, get everybody on board, get everybody's opinion up on a whiteboard and let's prioritize them. A change management approach might say, go to the leader of each area, have them delegate a representative, and then get them together to discuss whatever's being discussed. So as an Agilist, I look at that and I'm like, well, it's a start, but you gotta get people a lot more involved. So they're moving in that direction, but they're still not there. In many change management initiatives, Agile is one of many things going on, one of many. Whereas, and when we're in an Agile transformation, we tend to think of it as the most critical one. And finally, and this is really important, change management specialists are usually not evangelists. So when we as practitioners get brought into an initiative, it's often part of our job description. We'll be an active evangelist for Agile across the organization. So while we use coaching and other methods, we are recognized as an evangelist. So we are leading that change, not just managing or supporting it. These are really big differences.